Now for C, D, and E, you can see I've written a few things down, so I'll let you take this opportunity to pause this if you want to kind of fill out the labels here. Now with C, this is a composite shape. This is not just like a basic rectangle or circle or triangle. It is, what looks to me, is to be 2 triangles and 1 rectangle. Perimeter, let's do that first. That doesn't change anything. Down here, this would be 15 millimeters. Off to the side here, that would be 10 millimeters. I don't know if it's necessary, but I think we should probably have some little marks here just to indicate that those are indeed the same. And then perimeter would be adding all of those up. Sometimes when I'm running out of space, I like to write vertically. So I have a 10, 15, 10, 6, 15, 6. So those are all the different ones I have to go all the way around. So 10, 15, 10. So I'm going to write this. Because there's so many of them, I'm just going to write vertically 10, 15, 10, 6, 10, 6, 15 maybe? No, I'm just making this up here. I haven't even seen. Alright, I did see, but I don't remember. 10, 15, 10, 6, 15. Okay, perfect. So I got them all. I can add them all up. 5, 10, 15, 22. Carry the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. So 62. And I do millimeters. I do not remember what those were. So 62 millimeters. That's what happens when we added them all together. For area. Now area is going to have to be 2 triangles. So triangle 1 and triangle 2, those are both the same. So we're going to have 2 triangles. I will just do one of them first, and then I'll just double it. So the base of the triangle would be 6, and then the height would be 8, so 6 times 8. And then I have to cut it in half. Because the formula is base times height divided by 2. And I've already forgotten, but I thought it was 6. I thought the height was 8. Cut it in half. Now 6 times 8 is 48. Cut in half is 24. So I'm at 24. 6 times 8, yep. And there is 2 triangles. So I'm going to have to times this thing by 2. So I'm going to get 24 doubled, which is 48, what is this, millimeters squared. So I'm at 48 millimeters squared. And now I have to do the rectangle. The rectangle is, so I did the 2 triangles. Now I'm going to do this rectangle. And I have an area, base is 15. And the height is going to be 8. So 15 times 8, base times height, the formula of a rectangle. Base times height, no dividing by 2, that's a triangle. So 15 times 8. Now, unfortunately for me, I do not remember my 15 times table, so I'm going to do that off to the side. 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 120. And it's in millimeters squared. So you're going to have to say there's a 48 and a 120. So I like to write a little therefore. I'm just trying to find a good spot for it. So therefore, I have, so these 3 symbols mean, I have 48 plus, I guess I should write area. Therefore, area is equal to 48 plus 120, which is going to be 168 millimeters squared. So that is my answer. You have to take, with a composite shape, you got to take the two things. Well, there's 3. There's a 24 and another 24, which is 48, plus the 120 of the middle rectangle to give you a total of 168. And you can just add them all together. Now, perimeter and area of a circle. These are two formulas that you're going to have to remember. So perimeter is also something called circumference. So I can write that down in brackets here. So the circumference of a circle is the perimeter of a circle. Perimeter equals, and the formula is 2 times pi times the radius. Now, pi, we're going just to estimate it to be 3.14, and the radius is the middle to the edge of a circle. So that's our radius. In this case, it is 12. So my radius is going to be 12. So I like to multiply the things that I know right away. So 2 and 12 is going to get me 24 times 3.14. And this is something that I can't really do horizontally. So I'm going to have to do this vertically. 3.14 times 24. So I've got 2 decimal places here. I'm just going to remember that. Like, I could move this over 2 to get 314, but I'll just leave it there. I'm going to just multiply and realize that I've got 2 decimal places in this question. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 plus the 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Then I've got 2 times 4 is 8. Start with the 0. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So if I add those up, I get 6. 8 plus 5, I think, is 13. That would be 2 plus the 2 plus the 1, and then that. So 75 through 36. And then I remember, okay, there was 2 decimal places here. So I'm going to go 2 into here. So I'm going to write my perimeter, or my circumference, is 75.36. I don't know if it's inches or centimeters or feet. Centimeters. So centimeters. So that's how we're going to do something like this for the perimeter. You estimate pi to be 3.14, and then you can just multiply it like you normally would multiply, so times it by 24, and then add in the 2 decimal places after. And perimeter, you're going to have to remember that formula. In the same way, the area of a circle, you're going to have to memorize that. That is pi r squared. And our pi is 3.14, and our radius, again, was 12. That was half the distance to the circle, from the middle of the circle to the end, and we're going to square that. So this is 3.14, and 12 squared, 12 times 12 is 144. Now, I don't know what that is, so I will do this again. 3.14 times 144. And again, I've got 2 decimal spots in there. So just 1, 2. And I'm not going to change anything right now. I'll just remember in my answer to move over 2. So 4 times 4 is 16. And that's going to be a 5. And that's going to be a 12. So 1256. I remember that. And then a 0. Now this is another 4. So 4 times 4 is 6. 4 times 16, carry the 1. This is going to be exactly the same. 5 and then 12. And then start with 2 zeros. And 1 times all of these. So 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So then I can add them. So I've got a 6 here. 5 plus 6 is 11. 5 plus 5 is 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a 4. Now, don't forget, you're going to have to put the decimal place 2 spots over. So this equals 452.16 centimeters squared. Because we're finding the space in between of a 2D shape. The space is squared. So I'll zoom out here, and I will do the last question But I'll just zoom out a little bit for you to pause it if you want to write anything down. And the last one is actually pretty straightforward, even though it looks very odd. So, first, perimeter. This is a parallelogram, and this parallelogram has 35. The top here, don't forget, is also 35, and 13, so over here is going to be 13. So if you want to find the perimeter, you just have to add up all the way around. 35, 13, 35, 13. That's all we're doing. So perimeter is, I'm going to write this vertically, 35, 13, 35, 13. So 5, 8, 8 plus 8, 16. 3, 4, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 96. Now I do not know the units, kilometers. So I'm going to get 96 kilometers. Not squared, not cubed, because I'm just finding the distance around. Now, the area, and this is odd, but if you have a parallelogram, that is a rectangle that is kind of starting to fall over. So you note if you can push this corner back up, you would get a rectangle. So a rectangle that's been kind of, if I went and pushed the top corner there, if I pushed really hard, I would push that down and I would get a parallelogram. In fact, a rectangle actually is a parallelogram. It's a special type. But when we're finding the area, this area and this area are the same thing. So when we're finding the area of a parallelogram, it is the same as a rectangle. And the formula for a rectangle is just base times height. So area is equal to the base times the height. Now the base is 35. That's our base. And then the height, well, they've told us. It's right there. It's 12. So the base times the height is going to be 35 times the 12. 35 times the 12. Now, I don't actually know what that is, so I'm going to write that vertically. 35 times the 12. 5 times 2 is 10. That's going to be 6 plus the 1 is 7. Start with a 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. So I can add those. 0, 5 plus 7 is 12. So I get 420, and I think this is kilometers. And because we're doing the space in between, 2D shaped, we're going to get squared. So 420 kilometers squared. And our perimeter was 96. So a parallelogram, base times height. Notice our height is not 13, but our height is actually 12. So keep all of that in mind. I'm going to zoom this out so you can take a look at the whole video. And you can kind of pause it if you need to, and add anything that is missing on your paper.